Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. I am your host, Michael Karvelis, and this is Daily Dive. It is Wednesday, February the 11th, 2026, and this show if it'll let me, it won't scroll. That's fine. This show begins now. That's very weird. It's like, cool. We'll just use that next time. But thank you for tuning in. Wow, good stuff here. We are live streaming via the airwaves of North American Talk Radio on YouTube. Please remember to subscribe. Oh, wait, what? Do it now. I improvised. That was wow. Anyways, so on today's show, we got one segment. It's going to be NLL Midseason report cards with Adam Levi. All right, that's what we're going to do today, and so we appreciate him coming on the show. Tomorrow for our regular scheduled programming, we are going to get to my power rankings, creating the narrative, and another fun segment I've got geared up for you guys. But it is now time to bring in a man, a professor, if you will, for a segment that I believe is 3 years old at this point. We're bringing in Adam Levi. Mr. Levi, how are you today, sir?
I'm very good, Mike. Thank you for having me. I've been on sabbatical as my professorship duties, so glad to be back here for my first appearance of the season. Possibly my last. Who knows what my schedule will end up. I know we've been talking prior to the season and seeing what we could work out, but life always takes precedent. But thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to do this and hope we don't ruffle too many feathers with our grades, although I'm sure it's going to happen.
We're used to that by now. We're veterans.
We definitely are.
You don't have a professional microphone, do you?
I do, but not right now. We're in the middle of doing construction.
Cool.
Doing renos upstairs, so my area that I normally do my podcasting and stuff like that is not conducive for the camera.
You know what? I honestly used to think this was you commenting.
That is me.
Okay, is it really?
That is.
Very good. Preston, very good. You're learning how to type. Okay, so for those who do not know, we basically go run through all 14 teams like a cheap, never mind. We basically talk about all 14 teams. We give our grades. Adam will tell you what his grades are based off of. Mine are pretty similar, by the way, criteria. But tell us about, we're going to do like letters. I go all the way down to F if I'm not, no spoilers, but I'm going to go down to F. I'm not going to do an F plus or an F minus. It'll be A plus all the way down to C minus and then an F for me. I don't know if you just did regular letters or what did you do?
I will not be giving any Fs ever. I think that for me, that's just too harsh. Might be fair, and there are discussions to be had, but you won't see any Fs from me. You might see some Ds, but I think we're going to stick within that A to C range.
Love it. Do you have any pluses or minuses or no?
No, I don't think so. Actually, I do. That's not, what am I saying?
How dare you?
I do.
All right, so we are in order. I made this order. I'm very happy about this too. So basically, the first 5 or 6 teams here, I have a lot more talking points than I regularly do. So the first one we're going to get to is the Oshawa Firewolves. And I'll just say their record before we go, and then that'll be it. Their record right now is an astounding 2-8. Adam, what did you give the Firewolves?
Yeah, the Firewolves are probably going to be one of my lower grades. And I think, unfortunately, and I'm a big fan of Coach Glenn Clark and so many of the guys on that offense and defense. I think they're a great group of guys. I'm going to start with that. Yeah. However, they have been incredibly disappointing this season, starting out with a really kind of like low energy, offense not really being able to produce
Yeah.
at rates that we had never seen. I believe it was the Lax Mag and Graham Perro maybe that was putting out stats that this was the worst offensive start we've seen in our history, at least since we know individual game data, going back to 2005. And then that's kind of switched. The offense has come back to normal, but now defensively they are struggling mightily.
Yeah.
And with Doug Jamieson in net, you need better with that offense, with what we've seen with some of these guys. I mean, they were in the finals 2 years ago with so many of the same pieces. Now, I will give them credit. They brought in Dawson Thied to shake things up. They got rid of Coach Daryl Gibson to shake things up. Do I think that those are necessarily the fixes that they needed to happen? No, not necessarily, but at least they're trying to show that they're making changes. Having said all that, I'm going to put this at a C-, D+, kind of in the middle there, just because, we've seen what they're capable of. We know what they can do. And the fact that, it's so sad for the league that we've talked for so many years how the Ottawa Black Bears have had Jeff Teat and not made a playoff appearance yet. Now we've got Dyson Williams with the Oshawa Firewolves, and now he's not getting his playoff opportunities and having those, and shining and being a bright light. Thankfully, there are some great young talents in this league, but we need our number one picks shining and getting postseason appearances. So it's sad to see what they're doing. I know the Anything Lack show, if you don't watch that, big Oshawa Firewolves people.
Love that.
Captain is too, always at those games. So, hopefully they can get some wins and turn things around.
Before I go to my answer here, Cody Jansen says the two most controversial people in lacrosse media on the show.
He's not lying.
So. Is he talking about himself and you? No, I'm kidding. Man, that is brutal.
Well, it's something to be said, and I know Cody says it in jest. It's when independent media are not tied to teams or tied to the league, the people that are can be a little bit shocked in terms of the truth that we tell and things that we have to say or the things that are appropriate to share. And that is obviously going to differ from league and team employees. And so all I can say is that many of the people that publicly say things that are tied to those teams also privately say things that are opposite. So not to say something controversial, but I think we know that sometimes things need to be said.
Right on time with the comments by Michael Grace from Halifax. Because you are Mr. Positivity, I will put C- on the report card for you. I was actually more I feel like I'm learning from you, and I don't like it. I'm at a C+ actually for Oshawa.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm telling you, thank you, sir. So it's almost like kind of identical to what you said. I wrote down that the defense was great to start, and now they're not, and now it's like, the weight scale has shifted. Yeah. I wrote down they traded for Dawson Thied, which shows they want to try to address the offense. They fired their offensive coach in a league that doesn't even do that, much less mid-season. Mm-hmm. So, we can talk for days and hours and months and all this stuff about how, terrible they've been. And you are right. I'll end it with the Dyson Williams point. He was the missing piece. It was not Dawson Thied. It was Dyson Williams. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, it's been far from the truth. I really hope this is not a one-off. At this point, I don't think I deserve a tattoo because I'll be honest, I feel like I've given the tattoo by stamping every single show, my pick'em being the Firewolves, okay? So he can get the arm tattoo. I'll just say, you know what? I took too many losses from the people. Forget the tattoo at this point.
Yeah, well, it's interesting with Dyson. He's just like 10 games into their season. He's going to have lower, at this point, fewer goals than he did last season, fewer assists, fewer points. You want to see that trending the opposite direction. He's such a talented guy, such a hard worker in this league. It's too bad that things aren't working. Now, of course, they're still so young, and we have to remember that. They're no longer the youngest team in the league, but they are still young. And so hopefully they can turn things around. But their record since going to the finals has been quite dismal.
3-15 and 2-8 makes math 5-23, correct?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. One thing I'll add, though, Alex Simmons, the superstar that I think that he is, has been on record, at least in one interview, saying that winning brings fans, which is true to an extent, in my
Yep.
opinion. He also was on a post-game presser that Captain was a part of, saying, no excuses here, but he keeps reminding people we are young. We are still trying to figure out the National League. So I actually give him credit for not giving excuses, but keeping a level head, and why they're not like, oh gosh, we suck at what we do. It's like, wait, we're learning.
Right.
It sucks right now, but it'll get better. So good for him.
And I will say, I will give an A to the Oshawa fans.
Love that.
They have been showing up since the first game, and despite the losing, they are still showing up, even against that Halifax game. The 5,900 fans, more than 5,900 fans. So great to see that community and that idea that they thought that this could work in the Durham region is
so
panning
far
out. So that's very exciting.
I'm changing it back to D+ because you're switching with the fans. I'm kidding. All right, next team up here. We're gonna talk about Buffalo Bandits, another hot topic right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go first here just to keep it fair as you drink your tomato prune, whatever the crap that is. So here is my grade is going to be low. I'm just going to say a C. It's a solid C for the team that starts with B. I wanted to go B-, not happening. Not only has Matt Vince not been good with 75.68 percentage, I know that Pat Gregor and myself did a thing called a blame percentage pie, where we talk about what matters. And to sum it all up, it means this: they stink this year, respectfully. They're 3-5, and I know a couple of years ago we flirted with this, and it's like, okay, they are still who we think they are. The problem is, in those years at least in the 4 years I've done the show, they always beat the teams they need to when they need to. And losses to Halifax, Ottawa, and checks notes Philadelphia at home, by the way, those three teams. Not ideal. I feel like the offense has missed Fraser and Kluche way more than it should have. I know it's a fact of what's happening, but I know part of our report cards are, yeah, you're tired, and yeah, the new rule, whatever you want to blame. You guys are the 3-time defending champions. You have to. How do you not beat Philly, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote about it in my 3 Up, 3 Down on Indoor last week about something that I've noticed that has changed this season, and it is a pretty glaring absence, especially compared to their championship years recently, is that their fourth quarter performance has not been the same. This is a team that has been notorious, and I say notorious because it shouldn't be. Every team should be playing 60 minutes, but the Bandits, for whatever reason, have recently started out slow, but then been able to pick it up. Yeah, and then been able to pick it up, especially in the fourth quarter and the second half. This season, they have, I believe, right now, a -7 goal differential in the fourth quarter. You look at the last game in Philadelphia in Bandit land, they allowed the last 4 goals to Philadelphia, and they were winning in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
And so when you think about, what we're used to with this Bandits team, sure, we can say, that things happen. We could say maybe their regular season effort isn't going to be the same as their postseason effort. And we might see in the second half of the season, I mean, now where they're sitting in the standings and where they are, they might say, oh, crap, we really do have to give that 100% effort to make things work. We'll see if that happens. But, to the way that they lost at home to Philadelphia and the way that they lost to Colorado on the road, I mean, giving up 20 goals, it doesn't matter who you're playing. That is not Bandit ball at all.
We've never seen Buffalo get not just stomped, but curb stomped and humiliated the way they did. I've never seen that on the show.
Yeah, I think it was only the Philadelphia Wings' second franchise win against the Buffalo Bandits. And it was the one of the most goals. I think it was only one of the most goals the Bandits have allowed in definitely the last 10 years. And so you just don't see things like that against Colorado. So, I have to give them. I'm going to give them a C. I'm going to give them a C here.
Same, okay.
Which I think for me the reason why it's higher than Oshawa is the fact that they do still have so many of the pieces there. And there was some expectation from me, and I think others have always been saying, when is either the age of this team and the age of Matt Vince going to change things, and when are things going to be able to? We say, okay, we've seen the Bandits enough, we know how to play things, and then is there some impact here of the so-called Bandits rule? Has that impacted them? I know you've talked about it on the show a little bit.
Sure.
That's something to definitely talk about. But I think that in terms of, we've all been saying, I think the last few years is, since last year, when are they going to make that turn and start coming back down to earth? And so the fact that they are starting to come back down to earth isn't the most shocking.
So I told you so now.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, like, it's been unbelievable. We've been witnessing one of the greatest runs in sports history, with some of the best athletes in the world. It's only natural for that to not continue at some point.
I have to keep pinching myself here because I keep loading up Graham Perro's website, and I'm like, the history of the Bandits is they literally have gone to 4 consecutive finals since we returned from COVID. There's only been 4 finals played since COVID, okay? And it's like this team, you mentioned, like the blame percentage pie, something like Pat threw around.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, it all goes into one ugly orange and purple soup. And sometimes the soup, sometimes Dane and Josh can take over. I also, a little bit of caveat here, maybe Josh Byrne, like Lyle Thompson, is a little bit banged up from the Man Cup. And for me, I'm almost hoping that is the excuse and not other things, like they're too old and they don't have it anymore. I'm hoping a suddenly healthy Josh Byrne, and whenever time that comes, then they start picking it up. Maybe they make a trade. And I don't think if they make a trade, it'll be a massive thing. I don't think, sorry, Peckerwar, they're getting Joe Terrence. I could see them mixing up something like an equivalent of Jacob Dunbar to Calgary. You know what I'm saying? But they have to figure it out themselves. I don't think a big piece solves what's happening there.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, they're in the top 5. I believe they rank 4th for shots for, and then actually 3rd in shots against in the league. And so that's still incredibly impressive. So the question then, it's all about finishing. And I know that you look at last weekend, and I will. Not going to make a specific comment, although I was clipping some of the maybe controversial calls by the referees in the last game against Philadelphia. Ian McKay has obviously been trying to make a case that some of those goals may have gone in. That's for the refs to decide and for the people to make their own decisions. But it is interesting that the Bandits, they've done very well on the power play. I think they actually, I have it right here in front of me. They have, they're 70% on the power play, which is best in the league by a wide margin. Next best is 55%. But according to the data, only 20 power play opportunities, which I believe is the lowest in the league right now. So, when you make the case that Bandits fans are making that they maybe aren't getting the calls, I'm not going to start that up. But I'm a numbers guy, and one of the reasons my show Lacrosse Matrix is what it is that because we can't escape the numbers. Numbers are truth, and so just something to consider.
For the record, some people view numbers as religion. Anyways, I feel like, and not diving down the ref rabbit hole, it just feels like there's a lot of I say coping lightly, just fans want to talk about the refs. I've seen a few of them kind of echo me when I say, is Matt Vince finally hitting a wall, or is it them sleepwalking? And I believe their schedule is also a freaking just a wonderful. It's something to look at that you're like, whoa, because they're opening the schedule again at Halifax, who's hungry as well, at Vancouver versus Saskatchewan, at a pretty young Inspired Rock team who I know they always have their number, but at this point, does this year's Bandits have it? I don't know. They've Colorado, who's pretty good. San Diego, who might be better than we originally thought. Rush, it just doesn't get easier. And if there is a team that can overcome, it's Buffalo. But if there's a team that's going to fall on its face, it's the old Buffalo Bandits players. I don't know.
It is interesting, and looking at that schedule, that is rough. And I
It's
know that
gross.
Buffalo is going to be looking for redemption against Halifax after
Correct. In
heartbreak.
their barn.
Yeah, so that's going to be a heck of a matchup. Can't wait for that on Valentine's Day. So
No love lost.
yeah, no love lost is for sure. So it is a rough schedule. Toronto has been great. Saskatchewan, Colorado, but that really points out that these next 5 games in particular, you need to come out with a winning record,
Correct.
3-2 at a minimum, to really say, okay, we can make a run for it in the second or this final half of the season, because things are going to get really tough. I mean, it's every year there's so much parity, but this year there's teams like Georgia, like the Torontos that are stepping up, like Las Vegas that's staying in the hunt that haven't been there, and now Buffalo's behind.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on to the Las Vegas Desert Doggies. And you, sir, are back up to bat here. Las Vegas record. Again, they are 4-4. Adam, what says you, Professor?
So I'm gonna go with a B minus here.
Okay.
I think that the moves that they've made. I mean, you would have loved to see Chase Fraser in the lineup this past weekend. You want to see all of those guys healthy and performing at their best. It's been great to see Jonathan Donville step up from a goal scoring perspective recently. Also to see Kaya Killen stepping up. You need those depth pieces on offense. You can't just ride Mitch Jones, Chris Cloutier, Chase Fraser when they're in there. But I think what this season has shown us, and what people were saying from the beginning of the season, is that yes, their offense is going to be great and it's going to get the wins, but we've noticed that the defense and the goaltending is still problematic for this team. Maybe been a little better in some performances, but to focus so heavily on the offense and then not see the same or even close to similar returns defensively and goaltending. Defense wins championships. I mean, look at the teams that are at the top, like the Georgias, the Colorados, the Saskatchewans. It all starts from the back,
and some could argue that's their biggest strength before everything else. So
right. So the trade deadline is coming up. There's ways to move things around. This is a team that is in the hunt. I will say that my grade is higher for them than the other teams, because they've improved. We cannot say that they haven't. I mean, their best wins ever in a season is 5, and they're almost there, and they're not even halfway through the season yet.
Correct.
So, things are working out. Now, I forget who it was, but I remember that someone said on Twitter prior to the season, there's still going to be a 6 or an 8-win team. Well, I think we're definitely not going to see this be a 6-win team this season, unless something really just the top or the bottom really falls out. But they are doing what many of us thought they would be doing.
So I'm also at a B minus, and I was actually I'm happy we landed on this. I'm also very disappointed for the sake of TV. So what I have on my notes for Las Vegas is a little bit similar.
Mm-hmm.
I said Kells has been decent. If anything, if Vegas does go out and acquire a goalie, this reminds me of Aiden Walsh. If we don't know Christian Yelbienko's coming, we know you're good, but you're not good enough. Now, I do think Aiden Walsh is better than Kells, just saying. But it reminds me of a similar situation where you're like, Kells knows he's on a short leash, no dog pun intended. And if the bottom fall, he's been good like for most of the season, but 76%, it's kind of like, can we be better? The answer is yes, but he's been okay as a stopgap for now, more so than I thought he would be. Offense has been good. I know before the offense was like they were getting all these shootouts, but there's value in players that don't just shoot at will and hope they score 20. These guys can score a solid 14 or 15 and make the other team have to work on defense for it. So it's not just fire at will. And defense is still lackluster, and while they're not winning a ton of games, they still, like you said before, were so historically bad. I thought anything less than this Sean Williams should have been fired very quickly. But they've kept their head above water. They're not. I wrote down one more thing here just for the record.
Mhm.
Not terrible, but they're not good yet. They're above average. They're floating like Freddie Jenner and saying we're chilling. And hopefully they get out of the water, but right now they're just chilling, okay?
Yeah, I mean, again, the next 3 games for Vegas are critical. I mean, you've got Colorado, Vancouver, and then at Halifax.
Gross.
And so we're talking about really strong defenses, physical defenses. And so how is that team going to fare? Again, a pivotal point in the season for them, because then you've got 3 games against teams that are allowing tons of shots and tons of opportunities in Rochester in back-to-back games, and then also Calgary as well. So you got to hope to win 2 of those 3 of those next games. Those are definitely going to be difficult. But yeah, I mean, for the Desert Dogs to still have, I think Landon Kells' goals against average is still like around 12.2. So still pretty high.
Higher than you want to be.
Right. And then you look at the offense. I mean, yes, you could argue that Brett Dobson is potentially MVP, and that defense is phenomenal in Georgia, but only scoring 9 there, even only scoring 10 against Philadelphia earlier in the season and 10 against the Ottawa Black Bears, even though 2 last games I mentioned were wins. You do want to see the offense step up more. They've shown it. They've had some 15-goal games and performed really well. I think that this team is going to come together in the second half. I do think that they'll be battling for a playoff spot. It's going to be a tight race, but I think they're going to be in it.
I like that idea of a second half, because I feel like you inadvertently create a new segment for me that has to be probably aired next week. All the things I have piled up here. Yeah. I feel like I can do a segment called "Which Teams Am I Trusting to Make a Second Half Run?" Mm-hmm. I think they would be up there with Vancouver in terms of like new roster-ish and trying to figure it out. Let's do Rochester, and then we'll take a quick break here. So
yeah, I will just one final point about Las Vegas, and one thing that's interesting. With the Jack Hanna trade taking place, I think that we also have to understand that one long-term positive for this team is that whatever this team does this season is it's every game is a learning lesson, where Sean Williams and his staff can say, okay, we've now seen an entire season with these 3 guys on offense and the pieces that we brought in. Who do we need to fill those holes in the drafts with all the draft picks that we've got coming up? And they can specifically pinpoint based on this season's performance. And I think that will be incredibly helpful for their future.
So glad you mentioned that, because this is a piggyback that and finalize it here. Jack Hanna, the trade, obviously, naturally, we all, even the media included, talk about the Colorado part of it. Mm-hmm. There's still a team that was left behind. Mm-hmm. And Vegas knew he had to go there, etc. And now, like you said, they're missing someone they maybe even a couple months before the season they were hoping they had. Mm-hmm. So this is a massive thing that Vegas still has to deal with, that you're right, maybe we're not giving them credit enough for dealing with. So I like that.
Yeah.
Rochester Nighthawks, I'll go first here. Mm-hmm. I really like Rochester, but at this point, I'm at a C+. And that's even generous, actually, in a way. They started hot. I keep reminding people, besides the first 2 games, obviously, they beat Buffalo, and it's where we thought Buffalo, that still could end up being a great win, mm-hmm. because there was their second game of a back-to-back. Rylan Hartley had played more against Philadelphia than he wanted to, it seemed like, and they still shut down Buffalo. So that was a big win still for me at this point. Mm-hmm. Getting smoked by Colorado was not my favorites, and then getting beat down versus Vancouver, and then blowing an early 5-2 lead in Vancouver. I'm like, kind of like I do with Ottawa, same old Rochester, and I don't want it to be, but Mike Hazen could have avoided my hot seat, or at least the hottest parts of the hot seat. But right now, Rochester, I forgot to say this, they are currently sitting at 4-4, and looking at that, you think of what they've gone through, especially to start the year, they have to be going like, what the freak, man? Like,
Yeah.
this is who we are. That they're
Mhm.
better than that, right, Adam? I don't know.
Well, it's interesting, and I've been very public. They were my preseason kind of sleeper pick to make it to the NLL
Yes.
finals, and then also after they beat Buffalo, I was very public, and I think I even said that them and Saskatchewan could meet each other in the finals again.
Yes.
These last 3 games, unfortunately, have not been great. Exposed some of those same problems. The game against Toronto, that's one that I think they would want back. A game that they should have won.
And forget the rest, but yes, you're right. Like they had more chances to win. You're correct.
And then Vancouver, I will say the loss at Colorado, in hindsight and who we've seen this team become and what they're capable of, I think that's less of a blip on my radar. But the first loss in Vancouver, only scoring 6 goals there, to see the offense have that. Look, Vancouver's great. Vancouver is one of the top teams in this league. I don't think there's any question about that. But to have that kind of a blowout, and then, also just from a discipline standpoint, to see Rylan Hartley make the decision that he made to be out of the game. And now we're not going to see him this weekend, I'm sure, once the appeal comes through and that he actually has to sit out this game. And then to see how Tyler Biles and then, of course, Jackson Subak handled the situation after the fact. I won't get too much into that.
Yeah, and then the Adler play, I forgot who did it, like was it Tutton or whatever his name is? That kind of,
check.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you don't want to make those decisions. You don't want to cost your team good position. And so to see those types of losses, to see Hartley and Hutchcraft and guys like that just get totally beaten up in between the pipes, it's a real red flag for Rochester. So, I think for me, it's a C for now because they've been so good at the beginning, and I hope this is just a blip. I've always been a huge fan and supporter on and off the floor of Riley Hutchcraft. You know that. I've said that on this show multiple times, especially last season. I would love to see him be able to have great moments. So we'll see what happens.
He's in a big spot this weekend.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, and I hope this is just a blip for this team because with the additions they made in the offseason, I think many of us were saying, is Dan Carey a potential GM of the year prior to the season with picking up Zed Williams and making other moves. So I hope this is just a blip for them.
It looks like a fork in the road of their franchise, but especially for this season. Like it seems like it's either going to go south or it's going to go. They're going to learn from it. So I like it. I do want to mention one more thing. The Vancouver thing is also interesting, just the game itself, because there's an argument to be made that Vancouver's defense and offense are not 100%. So what they did to this team, and I've always said, in the regular season, can you beat the big boys? And so far, their big boy win is Buffalo, and we don't know about that. So in the playoffs, do I trust you? If both y'all have met your 100%, I don't know yet. So hopefully they show more. Comments here. Oh my goodness. Next. Okay, it's from an old friend, for the record. There you go. But we're gonna take a quick commercial break. Adam, get your water, talk to press, and all the good stuff. We'll be right back, and when we come back, we'll have some more teams we discuss. You're watching Daily Dive.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
right. Welcome back to Daily Dive. I'm your host, Michael Karvelis. He is Adam Levy joining me here for NLL Midseason Report Cards. Reminder, NLL merch, natalkradio.us/NLL, including Unboxed. Thank you for talking about that because that's freaking awesome. The jellyfish will be on my person soon, for the record. I love those things. All right, so far we've done 4 teams. Oshawa, you did C-, I did C+. Buffalo, we both did solid C's. Las Vegas, both B-. I'm like, what kind of controversy is this? Rochester, you did C, I did C+. Let's do some more teams now. Now the show will start going a little bit quicker for those watching at home here. Let's get to the Colorado Mammoth. You can go first here. Colorado, for the record, is sitting at a 6-2 record, tied for second in the National Lacrosse League. Go ahead, sir.
So I'm gonna give an A- here. I mean,
Love it.
I'm only giving one A, and I think it's pretty predictable who that A is going to go to. But
Sure.
I'm giving Colorado an A-. Yes, they had some struggles at the beginning of the season, and that's where those 2 losses come from. But
Yes.
Having lost Ryan Lee, knowing that they weren't going to have Eli McLaughlin, and to have Andrew Q be healthy, to have the acquisition of Jack Hanna, we're not talking, I don't think, enough. At least I don't see it, and I tend to be on social media quite a lot about
Really?
the fact that that there's so many rookies on this team on both sides of the ball that are really stepping up, and not just here and there. They're playing every single game, and they're really delivering. Look at the Dylan Hesses, the Connor Knox, guys like that. Braden Saris really stepping up into his own.
Pilato, because face-offs matter, but go on.
Pilato has been awesome, and I remember I spoke to Andrew Q on my podcast, Lacrosse Matrix, and I had brought up Pilato because when you're talking about offenses, yes, there is always going to be a debate whether face-offs matter. And I know that according to the data that Graham Perro has dug into over the years, that unless you are winning at an outrageously high rate, there is not a correlation between face-off wins and wins in the standings. However, the reality is that a face-off win is going to get you possession. It's going to potentially change and control momentum. And the fact that this rookie is coming in and doing that is phenomenal. And it's good to see that Tim Edwards is still getting his opportunities on the defensive side of the ball, and that the team is willing to make the changes and step up for each other when they need. One thing that's been mentioned by some Colorado guys, maybe not that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but Thomas Vela has been so good at doing stuff off the ball, stepping up in that fight with Dylan Robinson.
Oh, yeah. And winning. Go ahead.
Yeah, and doing all the stuff that you need to. So they've got guys delivering in every single way. Dylan Ward being more like the Dylan Ward that we expect, and getting the praise that he deserves for that. People were wondering if the last few years, if he was nearing his end. And look, pro sports and pro sports media, so people can say whatever they want, whether it's starting conversation or if they can back it up with stats and information. But look, he's saying whatever you saw previously, I'm not that guy. I'm who I used to be still. But they have just been phenomenal, and you got to look at Brad Self as a GM of the year front runner. Dylan Ward, obviously Brett Dobbs has been phenomenal, but Dylan Ward maybe a final goaltender of the year. They've just been so great. But yeah, the additions of Andrew Q and Jack Hanna, and how that offense is singing, and how the defense and goaltending has just been phenomenal.
Yeah, the rookies, like you said, have been really impressive. The fact that you already recognized their names and they weren't household names to start the year is a very awesome thing. Andrew Q, he might miss too many games, but if he's not MVP, he's going to be close to the Offensive Player of the Year finalist, I believe. After what I've said was a struggle in Georgia the last couple of seasons, in my opinion. Yep. Jack Hanna thing, that dude, we thought he could be plug and play, but seeing it in real time is pretty stinking awesome. I know you went with an A-. Adam, they're calling me Mr. Positivity over here. I went with a solid A. I feel like I did factor in that Brad Self brought in Andrew Q and brought in Jack Hanna, because that does matter for their story. Like, this team has been proactive off the floor. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Ward on the floor has been fantastic. I know people right now, I feel like we've talked about, but not enough. They did shatter the hearts of Buffalo fans, and that right now is a pretty good win. But the fact that Philadelphia could go into Buffalo and say, okay, how big of a win was that?
Mm-hmm.
But against one of those things, I feel like that's going to matter so much when we look at it at the end of the season. And then you add in the Georgia Swarm playing an ugly, low-scoring game. And this team went from getting pants in their own den to doing it to Georgia in theirs. So that was also impressive. And I think it leads up to a solid A for me. But, yeah, Colorado's been great. More than advertised, and that's why they get the high grade for sure.
100%.
Next up, I'll start off with the Philadelphia Wings, a team that's full of good American people, good American boys, you know what I'm saying? And Michael Sowers has been no exception to that rule. I did give them, Adam, a C+, and I know people are going to say, well, what are they up? Like, what do they have to offer? Well, here's the thing. Nick Damude, in my opinion, has not been as good as I thought he had been recently. I know he's had some good games. I feel like this team, while their roster's not great, I'm actually shocked because right now, if you look at the standings, somehow they're 12th. And I feel like they have been clearly the worst team. And while Brandon O'Neill has taken steps, Philadelphia, I don't know. Let's say they do, for the sake of I brought up a possible report that they might want to go nearby. I feel like that would be a good move because they can't be in their own barn next year. But when they go to that barn, what is the identity, man? I don't even know if their own team knows the identity. Are you high flying? Are you tough defense? I don't know. So I'm going C+ because they did walk into Buffalo and punch them. And they have been competitive in some games. But you're a league doormat right now, and putting a B next to any part of their name, I couldn't do. And the way you're reacting, I'm like, wait a minute. So go ahead.
Well, I think for me, and good on you on pointing out that they are the Turning Point USA halftime show of the National Lacrosse League. Sorry, I had to say
put the doormat.
It was there.
That's good.
But I think for me, I'm right there with you. Where I mean, the one thing that we have to keep in mind is that they are exactly. And sorry, I'm gonna have to let my dog in. She's barking.
Who let the dog? You're fine.
But yeah, I think they are exactly where we thought they would be. You know, we were talking about that with Oshawa. I mean, everyone said at the beginning of the season that Calgary and Philadelphia were going to be at the bottom of the standings. Well, they are. And so we'd be surprised.
True.
So, you know, the fact that they have been competitive and won some games have, you know, tried to be in games and to get that big win at Buffalo, is that a turning point? And guess what? They couldn't be facing a better opponent this coming weekend to get that momentum going against Calgary in Calgary, which is one of the best barns, arguably the second best barn right now to play in the National Lacrosse League next to Bandit Land. I love that the Calgary fans are showing up despite the team's record. But yeah,
true,
I think it's been great to see the development and growth of Michael Sowers. I will say, and he is my podcast guest this week on the Lacrosse Matrix, Scott Coney. And then next week I will be featuring Michael Sowers as well. So 2 Philadelphia episodes back to back there. But yeah, I think Scott is going to do the things that we were talking about that Thomas Vella does. You know, he's a spark plug. He grinds. He gets in there, and he's, you know, considering he was out for an entire year and had an ACL injury, you know, he's working his way back up. Of course, they miss Mitch Jones. I spoke to Kyle Bennett on the podcast. I'm not going to reveal what he said in terms of his analysis in the Wings, but, you know, he was saying that it can't all be just because Mitch Jones isn't there, that these are problems. But I think that the Bandits win is a huge sign. So for me, it's a C because they are exactly what that we thought that they would be.
I like it. So you can let your dog in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a commercial break while you do that. there's like this running joke on the show where I tell people, like, do they like when you have this merchandise, like, what are you gonna do with it? Oh, you're gonna wear it at the game when you get tickets here. So it worked out. All right. Again, you went C for Philadelphia. I went C plus. You know what, man? Currently, everything we've been different on, I've had the higher grade.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my! I think the comments have finally gotten Adam Levy. Let's move on to our next team here. It's going to be the Toronto Rock. Now, the Toronto Rock are 5-3, and I told Pat Regardless, I believe on Monday, hey, life on the line. If you had two Powerballs here, both the same odds, I mean, I'm betting me, I'm just saying, two Powerballs, same odds, and you told me before the year, or I told you before the year, one team, you have Toronto and Buffalo. One team's going to be 5-3, playing very well. Another team's going to be 3-5, and I'm not telling you which team is which, but what we know now is that Troy Holochuk has played 3 games, and Nick Rose might miss 5 or 6. Which of those Powerballs is Buffalo and Toronto? I know we all would have picked, and you were all wrong. It was Toronto was 5-3. So, that being said, who went first last time? It was you. Yes, I'll go first here. Toronto Rock, I have a B plus. Now, it could be a little bit higher, but just for the record of why it is as high as it is, no Tom Schreiber. And I don't know how long they knew that information, but that's something that we've lost a little bit, not on purpose, but just it got kind of lost in the history of things. And that was a big deal to start the season for them. Since then, Troy Holochuk, like I said, has played well. I believe he's 2-1 without Nick Rose. CJ Kurst, their number 1 pick, has been instantaneous offense. I believe he still leads the team in the points category. Owen Hilton, same in English, not too bad either. I also want to mention another positive. Matt Sawyer's coaching job has been great. Now, one pushback for me. Josh Dowick and Mark Matthews, I still need more because all that's happening in your favor, and y'all, they're getting there, but they're not there yet. And that was the 2 stables like, oh, those guys are going to be good, and they have not carried their load. If they do, we're back to Toronto playing well again, and I'm like, it's like a different team, but good for them. B plus.
Well, interesting that you have some criticism for Mark Matthews, because I feel that he's been he's been great in terms of the role that he's been.
He now leads the team in points, so whatever.
He not only leads the team in points, but he was tasked at being the facilitator to help run the offense. There's a reason they call him the mailman. Yes. And whether it's secondary assists or even just starting possessions to get the ball moving, he's right there.
That's why your dog was barking, because he heard the mailman talk was coming up.
Very good, very good.
Thank you.
So yeah, I would say that he's been great, and the fact that these offensive young guys like Owen Hiltz and like CJ Kurst are getting to learn from him. A great leader and an example of how you perform and prepare, I think is fantastic for them. For me, and I am also actually going to give them a B plus here.
You sure you don't want to go A minus? I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Is the fact that when I look at their schedule, they have had it fairly easy in terms of who they've had to face. So you look at it, they've faced Oshawa, Calgary, Las Vegas, which they lost in both of those games, at San Diego, at Rochester. They lost to Georgia. Again, that was a tough game. Had they won that, things might be very different. They'd be on a 5-game win streak as well. But then winning to Ottawa and Oshawa. But now they've got 2 games against Colorado, a game against Buffalo, Vancouver, and then at Halifax, and then at Saskatchewan. So I think we're really going to learn where this team is going to sit after their next 6 games against the cream of the crop in this league. And so for not that that's a knock on them necessarily, but you are who you play against. And right now they've been playing against teams that aren't at the top. And so we'll have to see how they are once we hit this middle stretch and into the latter part of the season.
With Oshawa.
I can't. There you go. You were breaking up a little.
That's first of all, screw my internet. I keep saying that's getting worse. I was gonna say that they split with Oshawa, which is crazy. And please let me know when that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, Adam Levy consumes a little bit of other sports content, I've noticed, because mentioning the cupcake schedule is eerily similar of the Patriots' criticisms recently. So, just saying. Great point, though. You were there. That's a point I've not considered because they've taken the league so far by storm than more some people thought they would. So yeah, I think now it's like, whoa, why is this happening? Who have you played? Wait a minute. Okay, the clown nose is starting to squeak a little bit. So that's I get it.
Well, look, this team has been so great, and I'm so glad that you mentioned Troy Holochuk because. Man, him stepping up with Nick Rose having that injury, and hopefully Nick is going to be able to be back soon. He's another great guy and great goaltender in this league. But we saw Troy have these opportunities when Nick was traded for the half of the season last year to Calgary, and now he's getting more opportunities, and he's really owning it. And he's still very young. I'm going to look it up here right now, but he's in his
25 actually.
Yeah, 25. Goaltenders traditionally aren't hitting their peak until 25, 26 anyway. Yeah. And so for him to have these reps last season and now here, and for him to be stepping up, really good to see that. So great to see these offensive rookies playing so well. And when we talk about depth on offense, yes, it was great to see Dowick and Bushi take the reins last season offensively, but the fact that they don't have to put that weight on their shoulders anymore, the fact that it can be spread, it just shows that there's so many weapons out there. And again, with Mark Matthews kind of helping to facilitate that, makes them a really dangerous team. And then you've got versatile guys like Latrell Harris and Shalom Rogers. It's a good team. And I know that there were some people in the beginning of the season that saying, well, watch, they're going to be in the playoffs. Why shouldn't they be? And I think they're right. They look like a real solid playoff team right now.
I think I had them at like 10-8 or 9-9, like sneaking in. So
yeah.
I'm not mad at that pick. So I also want to mention this is we're going to go over what I thought we were going to go over, which I'm sad about. But anyways, Troy Holochuk last season, you wanted to say this, but you didn't. He did not, in my opinion, seize the opportunity last year, and he is doing so at the drop of a hat this year, and that does speak volumes to what he could possibly become. Because he wasn't terrible last year, but this year he's been excellent, and that to me is going to add up well in his future.
Yes.
Next up, the Georgia Swarm. So you'll go first here, I believe. I lost count.
Yeah.
Real quick, their record is a 6-3. But go ahead.
Yeah, for me, they are another. They're an A- team. I think for me, I had them in the pack with Toronto in that maybe 8, 9, 10 seed finishing prior to the season. Defensively, Michael Grace has been phenomenal. As we mentioned, Brett Dobson. Not only, I think, the goalie of the year frontrunner, but the potential MVP candidate as well. We're really seeing the impact that he's making, much like we did when Christian Del Bianco won both of those awards a few years ago. Nolan Byrne offensively has been great. It's been a tremendous effort, but defense wins championships. This team has performed so excellently this season. Against some adversity and to be on the 4-game win streak to pick up that win against Toronto. It's interesting. I have a question to ask you as part of your answer. Obviously that win against Colorado was huge and then a tough loss against Colorado, but to fare that well against that team, very impressive. But Lyle Thompson has been stepping it up lately in the last couple games. I know that you were a bit critical of where he was standing. So what's your take now on that?
I know you can't consume every episode of Daily Dive.
Yeah.
I ended up being on the record saying I think now that we've seen that breakout in Calgary and in the fourth quarter against Toronto, I said he's going to start going on a tear because I think something was bothering him. And so that's what I pretty much added it up to. So I've
Okay,
been
good.
very happy with the way he's been playing.
I apologize for not hearing that.
No, you're good.
Previously, but glad you could say it
Turn
again
around.
for the people to hear, because Lyle Thompson. It's great for the league when Lyle Thompson is playing well, and it's great for the league when Lyle Thompson's team is playing well.
Yeah. It's great for Georgia when his team when Lyle Thompson's playing well.
Yeah.
So I also went with an A- here. So you're not getting anything above me right now. I said that Dobson is not, like, people are gonna have to put this in perspective one day. He's not been great. I disagree with that. He's been all-time great. And at some point it's like, dude, like, what are we watching here? Like this, and I said it, like, again, I've said it before a million times. Spencer Conley of Nighthawks Network, I thought they would have a good year because of him. Spencer Conley apparently predicted goalie of the year. No one saw this coming. This is so much better. This is almost like maybe better than his pre-draft hype, which I never really paid attention to. But whatever he's doing, keep doing it, kid. Brett Dobson, like, keep drinking what you're drinking, keep eating what you're eating, all that good stuff. Keep the routine. I also wrote down the rookies, like you said. The reason I didn't go fully like A or A plus, the offense has let them down in those 3 losses, if I remember correctly. So, and rather than not, Lyle Thompson was injured or was slow, like not playing great. There's other players not named Lyle Thompson that could have stepped up well, but now they have carried themselves. It is a testament to their defense and Brett Godson, and we'll call him Godson now. But I think that A- fits. I like it.
Well, I have to give a shout out offensively to Caleb Benedict, a guy that I've written about, and former first-round pick in 2023.
Yeah.
He's had some big games, and it's good to see. He's only 23 years old, and to see him stepping up is great. Brian Cole and kind of more playing up front, having that position. But the amount of rookies they have, I mean, there's a reason that Ed Como is considered and respected as much as he is as one of the great coaches in this league. And yeah, just an incredible leader, and what they're doing with the amount of rookie talent and the way they're stepping up is great. And per Brett Dobson, I mean, no one could have predicted these numbers. I mean, these are literally NLL all-time best numbers if he were to hold them. I don't think anyone can ever predict record-breaking season. That just doesn't happen, and he's doing it in many facets.
And then you look at the context of the season and what they had to start and what the expectations were. It's going to go down as ridiculous, as an absolutely like historical season.
Yep.
I do want to also mention, it was on the tip of my tongue. Oh, Caleb Benedict, little self plug here. I think I told a story before on the show. I'm the only time once I figured things out and how media works, the only time I ever went down to the Georgia locker room side, 2 guys were standing there. Well, first the Rush players, it was Matt Hossick and some other guy. I think it was Boudreaux. Then I went back towards the Swarm locker room, and the 2 guys there, guy by the name of Angus Goodleaf, and then smiling as ever, a guy who had not been on the roster yet, but was still poking around. I believe he was injured, Caleb Benedict. Kind of cool. Short, by the way. He is short, but super. Him and Angus were as cool as could be, and they had no idea who I was. Maybe they did. I had no idea who they were, so shame on me, but that's what I saw.
It's a great group of guys. Good to see them playing well.
Correct. All right, next up, I will start this. We're going to go to Halifax, California. Oof. I'm at C+, sir. And the reason being, Californication, we can do all of it. I think, and this C+ has probably grown from a C- or an F for me, because I don't go to D, I go to F immediately. And somewhere there's a joke in there, but it's presented by Trojan. Anyways, I believe that Halifax, they have rose above recently. And it's not, they haven't convinced me, and they have lost some games, but just like with Oshawa, when I would say, well, if your part of the ball would step up, we'd be looking great right now. This season, Warren Hill has been solid throughout. Despite numbers dipping, he's been keeping them in games they're not supposed to be in, unfortunately, sometimes. The penalties came to an ugly head in Oshawa, and since then, haven't heard a peep. It's almost like are you guys like playing scared now? What is this? But that's where we're at now.
Mm-hmm.
But the offense, and I know the veteran guy got fired or whatever, the offensive coach. So it's like, if their side can step up, I mean, I do think it will. I think the feed was a big body, so I could see like Will Robinson, other guys running off the floor more. Jason Knox did score a hat trick recently. I think they'll be fine, but they're at a C+ for me right now.
Wow. Well, I guess we're going to continue this trend where I'm going to give lower grades than you. I am going to go with a C- here.
Woo!
I mean, 3-5 on the season. One and three at home offensively, and yes, you do get rid of your offensive coordinator and Stu Montour, and so we'll see how that changes things. Hopefully, it does. This team, Mike, is only averaging a NLL worst 8.8 goals per game. I mean, this is, with that lineup, how talented they are, how capable they are.
Yeah.
That is, those numbers are just not acceptable. You're totally right. Warren Hill deserves a lot of credit for keeping them in games. But for that offense to be performing the way they are is shocking, really.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So for them to not be able to win at home with packed arenas with so much energy, and then for that offense to be like it is. I mean, I had them fighting for a home playoff spot in my preseason rankings, I believe. And so for them to be where they are with who they have on their roster, I'm definitely would have expected a lot more from them. And so that's why I give the C-.
I don't mind it. Let's move on here. I believe you will start us off with the Vancouver Warriors. I don't know why I did that. That was not actually inadvertent that time. So Vancouver Warriors, in this season, they are, as weird as it started, a 6-2 record, which is good enough for second or third in the league. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to give the Vancouver Warriors a B+ here. Not as high as some of the other teams who have exceeded my expectations.
Correct.
The Warriors we all expected would be here. We could even argue that the game against San Diego, like, that's one that they should have won.
Since then?
Yeah. And that's that would have given them a 7-game win streak, and then would have put them at 7-1 on the season. So, the loss to Colorado early, another difficult one, but for the offense to play the way that it has against Rochester, for the defense to be stepping up in multiple ways. Yes, I know that they let Rochester get back into it when they definitely should not have. That was unfortunate that happened in this past game. But at the same time, they have been exactly where I thought they would be at this point of the season.
You're never going to believe what just happened here.
What?
Were you also just tagged in the post on Instagram?
No, what happened?
So, you know the good people NLL memes, right?
Oh, I do.
You'll never guess what we just got tagged in, dude. I'm not kidding. Remember what Cody Jansen said earlier?
Yeah.
Scroll to slide 7 on their newest post from 3 minutes ago. It says, everyone freaking out about kids on the floor during the Warriors and Nighthawks pregame fight, and me and yours tweets are up.
Oh, is it?
This is on the same post. The exact same slide. That's funny.
It's bound to happen. We've created tons of conversation with that. As I said, I've had private conversations with
That's really good
in regards to those things. And when you get almost 1.5 million views on a tweet, and then you get 500,000-600,000 on others, we're spanning outside the reach of just the average lacrosse fan in many cases, and so obviously we're getting attention on the sport. And what's important is to have the debate, even if people are all on the same page and wanting to dismiss certain things or say that things aren't acceptable. The reality is that, particularly in independent media, we have to be talking about things, and to get recognition, even if it's sometimes pushback, just shows that we're doing our jobs.
And you did not describe me at all. I had a very strong opinion about this. I'm proud of you for creating conversation. I was part of the conversation, unfortunately. But this is, I don't know. I'm sorry that kind of caught me off guard. I feel like I would enjoy that. All right, so I also went with a B plus for Vancouver. You can't win here. But basically, I said Del Bianco still is Del Bianco, which whatever that means at this point, he's the greatest goalie in the world. Even if other goalies, I compared to like LeBron James, like LeBron will not be the MVP every year, but he's going to be the best player every year. That's what Del Bianco is right now for goalies. They also, I feel like they flexed versus Ottawa and twice versus Rochester, which I feel like, okay, we're hitting our stride now. We're not there, but we're like at 85%. Maybe even Malofsky might go lower for the record. But 6-2 record is great, but it does also not tell the whole story, which is why I'm ceiling at a B plus right now.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Next up, I'll start this one. The Ottawa Jeff Teats, or the Jeff Teat Black Bears, whatever you want to call them here. Shout out to Rob Hellier, by the way.
Yes.
I went with a C plus on this one. The Black Bears have a very just that kind of 5. That's their season every year, 5-5 record. It's not terrible. It's average, which is what we're used to with this team, whether it be Riptide or who else. The addition of Hellier is great, like I said. And Callum Jones, I know he was kind of running away with it earlier, may have closed the gap with other players. Still up there for Defensive Player of the Year. We'll probably get first place votes if the midseason was the end of the season. So, that being said, I'm so sick of just the same old, wow, another a Jeff Teat team is not winning enough games to be above. I mean, it's sickening. But C plus because they've been good enough.
Well, this one, I am going to buck the trend, and I am going to go B minus here. Mostly because I just have been so happy with the addition of Rob Hellier and how he has transformed things and the way he's working with Jeff Teat and that whole chemistry there. I do agree that it has been kind of a blah, unimpressive season in some cases, and obviously when you lose the way that you do to the Toronto Rock, that's something that you want back, of course. But I think some of the other games, a loss to Vancouver, you can take that. A loss to Halifax in that way, you can take that because, as I said, one of the reasons that I'm giving Halifax my low grade is because I know that they can beat great teams. I know that they can perform and do really well, and sometimes they show it. But yeah, Ottawa, I think they've got a big game coming up again, as we talked about. No Ryland Hartley likely this weekend, so can they capitalize on having Hutchcraft in net? Or maybe they shake things up. Maybe it's McLeod, who they had just recently signed. Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, it's a team that I think they are more likely to get their first playoff appearance in franchise history this season than they have been in years past. So for that reason, they get my B minus.
It's going to suck because I was thinking about this earlier. What if Vegas or Ottawa were fighting for that last spot? I'm like, okay, Jeff Teat or the team in Vegas? It's like, come on, man. We can't win here.
I think at this point, you should, if we're taking a step back and looking, you got to say Jeff Teat just because he's had so many chances and not been there. Vegas, this new team is new. As I said, they're going to be building with those draft picks. And so maybe in a couple of years, if Vegas isn't in the playoffs still, then we got to hit the alarm bell.
And by the way, you're never going to believe what I did before I gave my Ottawa grade. A couple of teams back, I literally switched my grade from a B, solid B, to a C plus.
Oh, wow.
You dodged the bullet there, sir. All right, next up, the Rush A plus. No notes. Your turn.
Well, I'm not giving any pluses, and that's too bad because I'm A for me is the top, and the Rush get an A for me. I mean, they are the standard of the league right now. Phenomenal, great leadership, doing everything that you would expect of them. And also, I would say that when you make it to the finals the next year, it's one thing to drop the ball sometimes, like with the Oshawa Firewolves after their finals appearance. But to be performing at this level after their finals loss against the Bandits last year just shows how hungry and ready they are to continue to make their mark, and they've done everything that you've wanted them to do.
It's funny because I've always looked back to that one moment, and I don't feel like we talked about it enough. I talked about it a lot, where Shiliano and Jimmy Quinlan are having like their Stephon Diggs moment, where they're watching those bastards get a three-peats. They couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Like Diggs couldn't believe the Chiefs did it again.
Yeah.
There was the rush, and if that turns into a finals win, I'm going to constantly circle back to that moment.
Yeah, I mean,
it did. The season didn't end for them. It's like, okay, we'll try. We'll run it back. We're good.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that gets you more hungry for winning than getting that close and not winning.
And again, it was the second half they got their what's kick, and not the first half. That was, come on, man. All right, 2 more teams. San Diego Seals. My record, I don't know. I didn't write it on my paper. On my docs, though, I gave the Seals a C+ here. Currently, the Seals are a 4-4 team, which it's funny. I wrote down a C+ because Aurelier has played better recently, which helped this cause out.
Mm-hmm.
And while I do believe Patrick Merrill is on the hottest of seats right now in the NLL, one of the NLL, like this is the first time I can remember in the 4 years I've been doing this show, no one even talked, like the Seals were just like nothing. And that's like so surprising because they're not in a big market for California, even though it's a big city.
Mm-hmm.
But like they've always been that good. And now it's like, man, like they're not even going to choke this year. They're just going to be average or bad. Like where did this come from? So C+ for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a C+ as well because they have been able to turn things around with their win against Vancouver, winning the game they should have won against Philadelphia, and even if it's a loss to Saskatchewan to lose in that game, I mean, yes, they were winning in that game and arguably should have held on to beat, but to be beating Saskatchewan after we just waxed poetic about them, I think shows that what they can do again, and it's good to see that they aren't the 1-3 team that they were in their first 4 games of the season. It's one of those things that it's just you were hitting on it where their roster, they've got so many talented guys. So often they bring in a lot of veteran talents and things like that, and they can't play up to that level all the time, and it's a shame to see because. You talk about a Jeff Teat needing to have playoff appearances. I mean, Zach Courier's a guy who we want to have playing on television, national television, as much as possible. So many guys like that. Trevor Baptiste, another one where we want him to get more attention. And by
NLL attention, yeah.
Yeah, and still having historic face-off win percentage. They've got great talents. Christopher Riglieri, you want to see him do well. So, hopefully things pick up and they're continuing on their little hot streak now, despite that last loss. But, we'll see what happens.
I'm glad you touched on the Rush game because if there is a credit, there's no such thing as a moral victory until there is. I think no one saw the Rush spotting them a lead. Now creating the narrative last week, I did say, hey, what if this was a game the Rush lost for no reason? I was not expecting the Rush having to crawl back. They still cover the spread, which is just brutal for Seals backers there. But shout out to the Rush, but I think the Seals showed a little bit. And going to the Trevor Baptiste thing, people, I know we're going to listen to the face-offs matter one more time here because he went 23-23 and they lost. I told Pat Gregoire on Monday, the next Monday, I was like, hey, pal, what if that was why they were in the game in the first place? Because he went 23-23 at the dot. See, there's different ways to look at those math numbers there, okay?
Yeah.
Well, what was their margin of loss to say? Finally. Oh, and by the way, I'm a Jake Naso guy. Jake Naso's gotten the better of Jake Withers a couple of times. He got smacked in the face over and over by Trevor Baptiste. So that was pretty impressive by Baptiste. That doesn't happen to Jake Naso. All right, Roughnecks. Another guy Naso owns is Justin Nasio, but the Roughnecks are 1-7. They are the 14th ranked team. I wrote down a solid C, and C- is too like negative for this team. Like we all knew what you're gonna do. Part of me wants to go C+ here because of the fact that Aiden Walsh has been better, and I was saying like, and Joel Watson came on the show weeks ago saying he's got to learn the defense, but I like Aiden Walsh in Vancouver. He's been very good in Calgary as well. The offense has been nice. I feel like as bad as Philadelphia and Calgary are, they're like never terrible. Like they're not. You can't blow. When you blow them out, it's because you stopped them and you were awesome. It's not because they just suck that bad. I feel like that matters. It's a C because I know you're going to give them a C+ and you need this moment.
Yeah, I think I will be giving them a C+. It's going to be a C+ area. Again, a team coming into the season with all the losses that Curtis Dixon, Jesse King, Shane Simpson, guys like that. Reese Calley's not there in the lineup. I mean, huge, significant losses for this team. Getting really young, and we've seen some promise in their young guys. For Aiden Walsh to take the reins there. I mean, we saw what he could do in Vancouver last year, and I think he's an incredibly capable goaltender. But we did expect them to be at the bottom or near the bottom of the standings again. And I had Tanner Cook on the Lacrosse Matrix earlier this season, and I had said to him that despite their record, and I think this was a few weeks ago, that they're playing better than their record suggests in some games. I mean, even look at the Saskatchewan loss, things like that, and some of the other losses. Offensively, yes, struggling of late, but it's a loss in Vancouver in overtime. They've played some of the teams that have been better than them pretty well, and have performed for a lot of new pieces and for a lot of young pieces. I think admirably, and so to give them a C+, I think is very fair, despite what their record might show.
I was not expecting of all teams that Calgary was going to be the one you were higher than I was, so that's where we ended. But good for you. So Calgary, just to end it here, I want to make a comment about Reese Calley's that has nothing to do with the play on the floor, because I just want to talk about how big of a loss this is.
Okay.
Whenever, Men's Magazine or, Maxim comes in there, they're like, which guys are attractive? And, they're like, no one's here. You go in the Vancouver locker room, Reese Kelly's like, excuse me? Can I help you? Anyway, if you've ever seen a walk-ins for Reese Kelly's in Vancouver, it's like, come on, man. It's like Josh Byrne. I'm trying so hard to avoid your face on Fresh Fits here, pal.
Oh, man.
Leave some for the rest of us, man.
Well, that is quite the way to end this appearance.
And,
look, I mean, these are some of the best athletes in the world. They take care of themselves. And,
correct.
He's well, maybe you could maybe you put a picture of Reese Calley's on your wall down there, and you're like, that's who I want to look
right
like.
Here.
Right, and just have it there. Put a couple hearts next to the photo.
Sure.
And
it's love season anyways. You're right. Wow.
We owe so much as fans and independent journalists to these guys and the effort they put out. And so, it's great to see so many of these guys giving 100% effort, going out there every weekend, busting their butts and making it work. And, it's been a great season so far. And I think what the first season showed us is that our first half of the season showed us is that the second half is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be competitive down to the very end, and you really don't know who's going to win every game. And that's what we love about the National Lacrosse League.
Correct. I was going to end it on something that just to poke with you there. I forgot. It's fine. But that's why there's the rest of the season to figure out and remember what else we can say. It's fine. Thank you, Adam Levy. You were awesome. You were once again professing and teaching as always. But that was fun. And the report card graphics will be posted later today. But we appreciate Adam for all of his time. I'm not going to do some crazy outro here. That is the show. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. For Adam Levy, I am Michael Karvelis. This has been Daily Dive. Goodbye.